Welcome to Denton Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Sarah, my pronouns are they and them, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Whatever your reason, whatever your worldview or spiritual tradition, age, race, gender identity, sexual orientation, financial means, physical ability, political affiliation, or immigration status, you are welcome here. Newcomers, please complete an online visitor information card to connect with us. See the chat or the seat pocket in front of you. Each week, children ages 0 to 3 are welcome in the sanctuary or in the nursery in the fellowship hall. Children ages 4 through 5th grade are invited to join Explorers Group by signing in at the welcome wagon and will be invited to their room later in the service. Youth 6th through 12th grade are invited to remain in the service. For our announcements, after worship today, please join us in the fellowship hall through this door for coffee and conversation. Today, all parts of service this morning come from the 2026 General Assembly and are presented both via video of the Assembly and recited by members of this fellowship. The 2026 General Assembly staff was LaTanya Richardson, GACS Director Donnie Plante, Meeting Planner and Stacy Dixon, GA Registrar. The main sermon today is by the Reverend Jin Youngsun, who serves the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. Born in Seoul and raised in Ohio, she found Unitarian Universalism as a young adult and was drawn to a faith that honors both the tough mind and the tender heart. Reverend Rue has served in parish ministry and healthcare chaplaincy, specializing in oncology care, and this year marks the 20th anniversary of her ordination. You can access the entire program at the UUA website, www.uua.org. Now, let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Good morning. Our call to worship today comes from Reverend Angeline Jackson, who opened General Assembly in gathering with these words. Beloveds, have you ever watched a small child, a kitten, or a puppy move through the world? Curious eyes darting, ears turned to every new sound, the whole body leaning toward what it does not yet understand. That is what our faith is asking of us now. New rhythms in our sanctuaries, new ways of gathering across distances and differences, new questions we cannot yet answer, in a world that keeps asking new ones and rehashing old ones. We have been beginners before. We have learned one honest question at a time, that wisdom stays open and is still wisdom. That curiosity is not the opposite of faith. It is faith practicing. So may you be blessed with beginner's minds. May you be blessed with the courage to not know the answer in good company. May you be blessed with the delight of a child meeting rain for the first time, and the steadiness of a people learning again how to be together. And may the questions you carry into this work become, in your keeping and in beloved community, holy. Amen, and blessed be. I now invite Marissa and Lane to light our chalice. Oops.
We light this chalice during chaotic times. I invite you to allow its light to guide you, to bring you to a place where you feel balanced and present. Let it remind you to feel your breath, to surround yourself with the things you cherish, lead you to remember one of your happy places. Let it help you release the things you cannot control and remember that you are not alone, that we are all connected and all working to be a beacon of light in this chaotic time. Carry this light with you, not in your hands, but in your words, in your invitations, in your willingness to begin. Please rise in body or spirit for hymn 1051, Who We Are. It's in the teal hymnal.
right. I would like to invite any children that would like to hear the story, or any children of all ages who would like to come and hear the story, to come down and join me on the carpet. So our story today is What Love Looks Like. One summer evening, Afia kissed her papa goodnight and settled down for bed. She snuggled with her stuffies, curled up under the covers, and closed her eyes. But she couldn't fall asleep. The truth is, she didn't want to. Not yet. Not when the summer evening sky was still bright and wide awake, nudging Afia with a wondering that kept sleep far away. "Papa," she called, "what does love look like?" Papa sat on her bed with a great big smile. "Why don't we find out?" he said. "Take my hand." A ray of light drifted in and lifted them into a desert, where the sun reached over sand dunes with warm hugs and tickles for Afia and Papa. Then a gentle wind twirled them up to a mountaintop, where ice crystals graced her curls and trailed her shoulders like a glittering mantle. Afia and Papa strutted through the snow, stamped funny footprints, and melted snowflakes on their tongues. Then they cozied up on a cottony cloud and sailed down to the seashore, where waves rushed and rolled to greet them, offering shells, pearls, and sea glass with swirls. Sea breeze chased Afia and Papa, and they laughed till tears ran down their faces, till their hearts brimmed with joy. But then Papa said, "Afia, it's getting late. Let's go back to bed." "Can we see just one more thing, Papa?" Papa gave a great big chuckle and said, "Yes, my dear, we can." So Afia and Papa followed a path from the beach into, where are they going next? A forest. There, beneath a golden sky, surrounded by scented hues and blossoms, and serenaded by a soothing brook, Afia nestled in Papa's arms. As they listened, gilded lights streamed from the sky, dimmed as they fell, and disappeared when they reached the forest floor. Soon, almost everything was wrapped in black. Only one speck of light remained. It flickered, illuminating the onyx sky in shimmering shapes and splendor. Gazing at the twinkling display above their heads, Afia said, "Love looks like a warm hug from the sun, snowflakes on my tongue, gifts from the sea, the smell of flowers, and a brook's song. But best of all, Papa?" "What, my dear?" "Love looks like you and me." A star swooped them home. Papa tucked Afia into bed. I love you, he said. I love you too, Papa, Afia said. And she slid into blissful sleep. And that is the end of our story today.
I just saw a whiteboard. Was there a whiteboard? Why is that a tree?
There was. Well, that's a perfectly wonderful thing to have happen while we're reading about being in the forest. Awesome. Maybe love looks like a red bird in a tree this morning. What do you think? Yeah? Yeah. Now, the ages upon ages old question, who's going to light the chalice for the children's chalice this morning? You? Okay. Finian, do you want to help? You have to stand up. Oh my goodness, I have a group. Okay, let's see. How about you hold this? Okay? Jeremiah, how about you help Nori, okay?
Okay. You scoot this way.
All right. Nori, ready? Here we go. And if you all will say with me the words in the order of service.
May I have it?
And now we're going to sing you on your way. Nori, you want to blow this one out? Okay. Try again. There we go. Thank you.
Let's take this moment to acknowledge who we are, what we feel, where we are, and we'll think about what comes after later. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to heartache. Listen to grief. Be still and breathe. In this moment, I want you to focus more on your body, your soul, your mind. Take a deep breath. And let us acknowledge together the heartbreak that we deal with on a daily basis and the grief. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to gladness. Listen to joy. Be still and breathe. While heartache might be true for you now, or for yesterday, or a week ago, gladness is also true. I'm glad to be here with y'all today. Joy is also true. So let's acknowledge those feelings. It's okay to let them coexist with all the heaviness we feel in these current moments and times of our lives. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to gladness. Listen to joy. Be still and breathe. As we turn on the news, as we walk around and talk to different people, Sometimes we experience anger, and often some hurt. Those are valid reactions, normal. We're complex, whole people who can feel all these valid things at the same time. Try saying these words together with me, even as we acknowledge our anger and hurt. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to anger. Listen to hurt. Be still and breathe. In the next verse, let's acknowledge beauty and grace, which we hope are always present, should be able to be present in our lives. So I invite you to, if you can, manage a smile, even if you can't see the smiles. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to beauty. Listen to grace. Be still and breathe. And as we end this time of breathing and stillness and reflection, look to your side for someone. Find that we are connected and we're listening to each other, not just to me. That this is our reality, sitting with our feelings, sitting with each other. We draw strength from that connection, from each other, from not being alone with our feelings. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to you. Listen to me. Be still and breathe. Thank you.
Once a poet remembered that first there was chaos, then earth, then all other things. First chaos, then creativity. May remembering this be our blessing too. Chaos, uncertainty is your unlikely gift. You shake up old orders and assumptions that we may welcome something new. Creativity, possibility is your greatest gift. You show us that something else can be, that we can refashion anything into new worlds. Timeless companions, you move through us. With you may bless this uncertain world. May we unearth its possibility. May chaos be our blessing. May creativity be our gift. So may it be.
Latonia Richardson, Director of General Assembly and Conference Services, wrote in her opening letter to the Assembly this year, "We are living in a moment marked by rapid change and deep uncertainty. Many of us are carrying concern for our democracy, while balancing busy lives, economic pressures, caregiving responsibilities, and the ongoing question of where and how to invest our time, energy, and hope. Over the past several years, we heard clearly from many in our community that while virtual participation increases accessibility, we still long for connection, shared experiences, and time to reflect, worship, learn, grieve, laugh, organize, and imagine together in ways that transcend a screen. We know that travel can be difficult, and safety and political concerns are real. Increasingly, people are making thoughtful choices about which gatherings truly earn a place on their calendars. More and more gatherings must offer not only information, but meaning, connection, and renewal. Whether this is your first General Assembly or your 50th, whether you are here for worship, learning, advocacy, business, music, fellowship, or simply to remember that you are not alone, I hope this experience nourishes your spirit, sparks new connections, and strengthens your resolve for the work ahead. I also hope it reminds you of the many reasons we continue to gather, to inspire one another, to deepen our faith, to share joy and grief, to meet this moment together. Thank you all for being part of the evolving story of Unitarian Universalism and the General Assembly, with gratitude and hope. All of that is true of our congregation here too. We are facing the same considerations now of how to balance those needs of safety, of belonging, of how to invest our time, money, energy, and hope. Without the donations of all these things by our congregational members, we can't provide either a virtual or a physical place for the connection and support that Unitarian Universalism and DOOF in particular offers. So each week we pass 2 baskets, one for this faith community and one for the larger community. Our second offering recipient for June is Outreach Denton, a nonprofit organization committed to providing mutual support, resources, organizing, advocacy, and fun with the LGBTQ+ community in Denton, Texas. Outreach Denton was created out of a need assessed by the Denton community, hosted by the Denton Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, who in 2010 recognized that Denton needed a place where LGBTQ+ youth and adults could gather for mutual support, resources, organizing, advocacy, and fun. Please see the order of service or the chat for ways to give. The offering is now gratefully received. please join us now as we watch the Reverend Jin Youngsun Ryu's sermon from the closing Sunday service of the General Assembly this year.
Thank you, Grayson. Last night, somewhere between the end of all we know and the faint beginning of something new, a dream emerged. 10,000 ancestors from all corners of the earth moved into a gap, one breath deep, into the space between all that has already happened and all that is yet to come. They carry songs, they carry stories, and they are calling us to join them. These rich images come from Aurora Levins Morales, a Puerto Rican Jewish poet and activist. In those days, immediately following the October 7th attack in Israel, Morales struggled to find a way through the atrocity to something human. The poet gives us a summons to show up at the corner. But first, she invites us into a gap, one breath deep. Here, the ancestors cup their hands around our hearts. Here is blessing. Here is healing. Here is transformation. Here is worship. For many people living in the United States, these past several years have left us profoundly and deeply unsettled. We have been feeling the meanness of the world in genocide and in warfare, in the hoarding of resources that leaves millions without basic human needs, in policy changes that say some lives are more precious than others. The ground is shaking and it feels like everyone is on edge. The world that we thought we knew doesn't exist anymore, not in the same way. The Turkish journalist Ece Temelkuran writes about the decline of democracy, and she says that we are grieving in future tense. We're grieving in future tense, grieving what has already been slipping away, even before it's gone, grieving what has already been lost and what may yet be taken. Some of this grief may be new for people who have not had to name this before. The structures of white supremacy have remained well hidden in the background of life, quietly shaping what was accepted as normal, natural, or simply the way things are. But now, what has been hidden is becoming harder to ignore, and more people are waking up to the urgency of this moment, rousing them from what the poet calls the sleep of the world. Now, I know that many of you are already awake. You are doing everything that you can to proclaim every life precious, everyone deserving a chance to live fully and freely. Unitarian Universalists have long been a people of action. We know how to organize, we know how to show up. We are practiced in the art of doing. And if we're honest, that strength carries a shadow. Our religious tradition has been shaped in part by a culture that teaches us to measure our worth by what we accomplish, to equate goodness with effort, and to feel most at home when we're busy and striving. Pair this with a hurting world begging for our attention, and then things like rest can feel irresponsible. Asking for help can feel weak. And simply sitting in stillness can sometimes feel unbearable as doubt and worry rise to the surface of our lives. That's why this gap is so important. Whether it's 1 breath deep or 1 hour deep, this is a moment made sacred by our intentions and our promises. Here, in the place between where we've been and where we dare to dream, our lives are shaped and molded by our spiritual practices of worship, small group sharing, and deep study. Mark Nepo says that when we meet like this, we aren't just being self-reflective, we are strengthening the immune system of humanity. We are strengthening the immune system of humanity. Here is where we remember who we are and to whom we belong. Here is where we practice love as a response to the love that first summoned us. There was an extraordinary Cambodian monk named Gasananda who survived the brutality of the Khmer Rouge regime. Later, he served in the refugee camps, and in one of those camps, he opened a Buddhist temple despite threats from the authorities that anyone who attended would be killed. Still, on opening day, more than 20,000 people gathered. These were people who had lost nearly everything: families shattered by war, communities terrorized by violence, people who had suffered beyond what most of us can even imagine. And there, in that dusty square, Gosananda led them in a timeless Buddhist teaching. Hatred never ceases by hatred. By love only is hatred healed. This is the ancient and eternal law. Thousands and thousands of people began chanting those words together, not because love is sentimental, not because love is easy, but because they understood that only love could build a future worth living in. After the 2024 General Assembly, I came home and told some of my interfaith colleagues that 80% of the Unitarian Universalist delegates had voted to declare love as the center of our faith. One of them, who's a good friend of mine, kind of sighed and said, love is very abstract. It means 100 different things and it means nothing at all. And religion has been preaching and teaching love for the last 2,000 years, but look at the way we treat each other. I know what they mean. I've heard that before from Unitarian Universalists, too. Love has become a cliche, a greeting card, a slogan, a marketing campaign, a word stretched so thin that it can barely hold any weight at all. Even when Dr. King invoked love, they called it emotional bosh, weak, sentimental, passive. And some of us have learned to distrust the word entirely because the word love has been used to excuse harm, to silence truth, to avoid accountability, and to demand submission. But without an ethic of love, human beings start treating each other as objects, as obstacles and problems to be dealt with. A people organized around fear will produce punishment. A people organized around greed will produce trillionaires. But a people disciplined by love can begin to repair the world. This is why the poet calls us into the gap, one breath deep before sending us out into the world. In this space, we remember our religious inheritance, a treasure carried by our Universalist ancestors who claimed that God's love was so complete that no one would ever be outside of this love, no matter what. And our Unitarian ancestors who admired Jesus as a fully realized human being, showing us that our capacity for love is far greater than we can imagine. So, what do we mean by love when we dare to place it at the center of our faith? There are so many kinds of love in our lives. Romantic love can be beautiful. Love for friends and family can be deep and fulfilling. Love, as we speak of it in our congregations and in our practice communities, though, is a little bit different because that love that we practice in those communities does not require fondness, affection, or any positive feelings at all. As the psychiatrist M. Scott Peck wrote, love is not a vague sentiment, but an intention and a discipline. He says, it is the willingness to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Sometimes that can look grand and heroic. Just as often, it looks like that couple who drives an elder member to church, even though it's out of the way and it's not so easy to coordinate, and sometimes it conflicts with other things they want to do. It looks like two people fighting as they're organizing an event and resisting the urge to turn away, willing to sit in discomfort long enough to speak honestly and to find their way toward new understanding. It looks like taking the time to get to know a stranger in need, learning their story, and welcoming them into the community as a full participant rather than an object of charity. It looks like making a personal promise to talk with one new person during coffee hour instead of huddling with their best friends. It looks like forgiving someone who hurt you because the burden on your own heart has become too great to carry. Love is so much more than what we feel. It is a discipline we choose freely and willingly for the sake of another's growth and well-being, including our own. My friends, I know that love is a word that carries many, many different meanings. Its power can feel fragile in the face of the forces gathered against us. At times, we may even doubt that love will prevail. Still, I am profoundly grateful to the Unitarian Universalists that we have not given up on love. In a community that embraces many spiritual perspectives and seeks to draw the circle wider, love is our common language. It allows us to speak of the mystery we cannot name, the goodness of life that exceeds us, and the sacred ties that bind us each to all. As Nora said, flowers cannot bloom without the sun, and we cannot bloom without love. When you fall, love is what catches you. Love is the everlasting light in the dark. So, Are you ready to be disciples of love? All right. Now, I know that talking about discipleship may feel unfamiliar in a Unitarian Universalist setting. We have seen how easily discipleship can be distorted when it becomes a cult of personality rather than a liberating path. For some people, the word disciple carries painful associations: control, hierarchy, the surrender of one's own spiritual authority. But the discipline and the discipleship that I'm talking about and inviting us all into is all about studying love. It's about practicing love. And it's about moving in the world having been formed by love. Every path of formation can reorder a life and give it a new center of gravity, because every discipline asks something of us. To be a disciple of love is to allow ourselves to be reshaped and stretched often beyond what is comfortable, especially when we are called to love our enemy. Or, in UU words, to affirm the inherent worth and dignity of all, even of those who would use their power to deny that dignity to others. Discipleship is not easy, and yet following the way of love is what keeps us from being consumed by the very forces that we are trying to resist. Without a discipline of love, our activism will burn out. Our longing for justice can become untethered from mercy, and we risk becoming spiritually starved. I know what that feels like. When I returned to parish ministry after years in healthcare chaplaincy, I was so swept up in the busyness of the congregation and the urgency of meeting this moment that I nearly forgot the very practices that made such work possible. My physical health suffered. My mental health suffered. And this is why the ancestors, in their wisdom, call us into the gap, call us into moments of spiritual practice. Before we fill our bags with scented guava and bandages and rush out into the world, those ancestors call us to first gather in places like this, where grief is never denied, where joy is welcomed with abandon, a place where people return to the practices that shape them, where disciples study love carefully, practice it imperfectly, and when they fail, begin again, begin again. The world is weary of righteous, performative righteousness. Instead, this hurting world needs people who can remain human in inhumane times. It needs people who can tell the truth without surrendering to cruelty, who can resist despair without pretending everything is going to be okay. So, my friends, the world is calling us to the corner. So gather up your things, take one another's hands, and let's go together as disciples of love.
Together, oh, wait, my bad. The words in unison. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of the community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I never like extinguishing it. Together, we are writing a story that will be told by tomorrow's Unitarian Universalists. May that story tell how we met a fearful and dangerous moment with open hearts, reaching out to one another across every dividing line. May this be ever so. Go in peace, my friends, and go in love.